Welcome back to the Strategy Show. We're here today with Lukas Zenk, assistant professor at the Danube University in Krems. He's researching the field of innovation and networks and also consults for companies. He's also the co-founder of the improv group Quintessence, and we're glad to have you here today. Welcome, Lukas.
Thank you for having me.
Glad to have you. Lukas, are you ready for some rapid-fire questions?
Oh, yes.
Okay, let's start. What are you currently working on? What are you currently manufacturing?
What I like creating is to combine science, business, and arts. And that's a big challenge because there are so different aspects and areas that you can use for innovation and network research, for example. So in particularly, I look at creativity and innovation. How does this emerge? Especially between people. So how do you co-create innovation, and how can you use improvisation theater or jazz to understand and to enhance your collaboration?
Where do you get your inspiration from?
From these different fields. So sometimes scientific publications are inspiring to me because they put an emphasis on empirical studies or theories that you can apply for business context. And then if I go in a business context, for example, while consulting or studying organizations, there during interviews and observations, I do understand some particular things better than I had before. And then if I act on the stage in improv theater, there's a lot of innovation and inspiration for all these different kinds. So I think inspiration to me means that I'm in one area and try to understand it from a different perspective. And that is always inspiring to combine these different perspectives.
And what do you stand for, or also what do you not stand for?
I think I do not stand for traditions that are there just because they are there. So some people say it's a path dependency. So you do something just because you did it before. And this is not what I'm standing for. I'm more interested in changing things, not just because of change, but because sometimes it's more appropriate to think it from a new perspective, or to change something that your life is becoming easier in the best way, or your business processes are leaner than before. So I think I always challenge myself and others to think differently and to act differently, to set goals and situations that helps you and others.
Where did you challenge yourself recently?
In different areas. So one of my last longer challenge was to meditate, for example.
Yeah.
So I had my challenge. I wanted to meditate for 1,000 days in a row, like every day.
Yeah.
And so I said, how can I do that? Because I do not want to get up early. I do not have a lot of time, and I've got a kid, so how can you do that? And I thought that it's really helpful for me and others if I'm more relaxed or stable emotionally, hopefully. And so that was a challenge that I really wanted to achieve. This is one part.
Yeah.
And I think another part is to combine these different areas again and again. So every time when I think I understood something, then I try to switch my perspective and see what if I would try to understand it as an actor, or as an executive or a researcher. What would change if you see now the problem or the solution that you have from this different angle?
Is there some problem where you found this is my most productive problem right now? This is something that drives me, or this is something that really inspires me as a problem?
Many, because I think that problems are useful to understand. Because sometimes people say we just want to create new solutions. We need more ideas and so on. But that is not the real beginning of solutions. First, you have to understand what the problem is. So what is one of my problems is exactly using these combination. For example, I like the methods of Lego serious play. So you use Lego bricks to create new strategies with executives. And the challenge is to explain managers that they have to play with Lego. And they say, come on, we're not childish.
Yeah.
And what my answer is like, yes, exactly. This is what Google, for example, says. Don't be childish, but try to have a childlike mind. And so you use methods to playfully understand complex problems and challenges. So whenever you combine things, it's hard for the other person to understand why you should do something different than normally. But I think this is exactly where the solution lies in. Because if you try something new, then something new can occur.
Mm-hmm. And when a client, for example, decides to work with you, what does he actually get? What do you manufacture for your clients?
I think my first approach is always to connect to people. So I really try to understand the other person or the other organization and tries to understand what is normal there, what is their culture, what are their problems, what kind of solutions do they already have, and use these resources in the beginning. Mm-hmm. And when I think, okay, I think I understand some parts of that, then I start switching. And then I challenge the person to go out of the comfort zone, saying, okay, now, so this is one way. What about that? And what about this? And did you think about that? And if you look behind the scenes, then I think it's the challenge and the ping pong play in a way to say, what about that? Mm-hmm. So I guess that people get hopefully new inspirations and being inspired to innovate in a very different way.
Mm-hmm. So you bring challenges, irritations, maybe innovation to your clients.
This is what I try. But not only challenges, but also the understanding. So I think it is not enough to just challenge or to do something arbitrary and see like, let's see what happens. So I think you need these both things. On the one hand side, the connection and the understanding of the things that already are established. And then to say, what else can you do? And posing the questions like, what if? What would happen if? And this, I think, can inspire people and organizations.
So do you go with a little concept beforehand to your clients? Do you have a plan in mind, a path forward?
I always have a plan. Perhaps not the best, but I always try to have a very clear plan and a structure how I think we could proceed. And as long as this is helpful, I go with the plan and with my assumptions. But whenever I understand, well, that was a plan, that was a vision, or perhaps a hallucination from my point of view, then I adapt my plan. So I start with a clear decision or an approach, and I would say, I would go that way. And if the organization or the person say, well, no, then I say, okay, what else? And then I would say, I would go here. And they would say, no, we have to go like that. And then we start creating the new plan. So it's always having a plan and being spontaneous to adapt to circumstances that are necessary in a consulting area, for example.